What's up, guys? Today's lesson is on the giant Pacific octopus, the octopus you probably think of if someone asks you to imagine one. Not that I will, since, it's already right here.
Bro, really, bro?
Its scientific name is Enteroctopus doflani, the genus deriving from two Greek words, vis meaning gut or intestine, and this meaning eight-footed. The species name comes from German scientist Franz Theodor Doflane, but it wasn't him who named it. It was this other guy, Gerhard Wilker, who did, in honor of the scientist. Now, I don't think I need to talk much about the common name. You don't need me to do basic deduction for a name like this. No need for me to solve the mystery. But I'll do it for you anyway. Allow me to show you just a fraction of my detective expertise.
Yeah, show us.
It's called giant because it's big, and Pacific because that's where it's found.
Well, you're so smart.
So, have my detective skills left you speechless? Probably not, cause I'm not a detective.
He lied.
Out of all octopus species, the giant Pacific octopus is the biggest of them all, having an arm span of at least 7 feet from tip to tip, with many over 13 feet, as well as being able to easily weigh over 50 pounds. But the biggest one on record was 200 pounds and spanned almost 20 feet across, so the giant part of their name is no joke. These guys are giant. The giant Pacific octopus is usually reddish pink with a vein-like appearance when seen up close and personal. This color fades to white on the underside of its arms, not tentacles.
What? I thought they were tentacles. What's the difference?
The difference between the two is that the arms of an octopus are completely covered in suction cups, while true tentacles of animals like squid and cuttlefish only have suction cups at the more club-like tips. Speaking of, the giant Pacific octopus has around 2,240 suction cups in females, and males have around 100 less. These suction cups give the octopus a super strong grip, and with chemical sensors on the cups, great senses of taste and smell. Letting an octopus touch you just got a whole lot weirder.
Come on, let me smell you. Let me taste you.
Like all octopuses, not octopi, the giant Pacific octopus is a mollusk like clams and oysters. This means it's a boneless invertebrate, but it also has a soft body. What used to be its shell, though, has now been reduced to two small plates where its head muscle is anchored to, as well as having a strong parrot-like beak made of keratin. This is the only hard part of the octopus's body, so it's able to squeeze through any hole big enough to fit its beak. However, because the giant Pacific octopus doesn't have a shell to protect itself, it uses one of the most advanced camouflage systems of all animals. This system is made of a working combination of pigment cells, muscle fibers, and nerves. Under its skin are millions of elastic cells called chromatophores, which have special colored pigments. To camouflage, the octopus first uses its eyes to match the patterns and colors of the background almost perfectly, then changes its skin color by stretching the chromatophores open or squeezing them closed from moment to moment. But experiments have shown that the giant Pacific octopus is colorblind, so that makes its adaptation a whole lot more interesting. Another way to protect itself is through its ink, found in a separate internal sac. When threatened by predators who see it, like seals or sea otters, the giant Pacific octopus can release a cloud of ink to make a temporary visual barrier while it escapes, confusing the predator and obstructing their view. Now this big ol' sac here is called a mantle, and it's where most of the organs are. It's got its main brain, hearts, gills, reproductive organs, digestive organs, and eyes. You may have noticed two things I said, the main brain and hearts plural. The giant Pacific octopus has a total of 9 brains.
Whoa, that's a lot.
One main brain in the mantle and a mini brain in each of its arms, letting each one control movement and senses without instructions from the main brain. This octopus also has 3 hearts, 2 that pump blood to its gills and 1 that circulates blood to the rest of its body. Fun fact, like the Atlantic horseshoe crab, which I have covered here, it has blue blood for the exact same reason, having the copper-rich protein hemocyanin in its blood. And like most cephalopods, the giant Pacific octopus swims head first, making it kind of look like it's swimming backwards. To swim, it uses what we call jet propulsion. To do so, after first filling its mantle with water, the mantle's muscles then contract and force the water through a narrow opening called a siphon or funnel, propelling the octopus. The giant Pacific octopus is found all over the northern Pacific Ocean, as one might expect, but is more often seen in the coastal waters of the ocean. It's seen here from Baja California in Mexico to Alaska in the US, and the Aleutian Islands of Alaska to Japan. In these waters, the giant Pacific octopus lives in the colder areas of at least 60 degrees in America units, or 15.5 degrees Celsius, or lower. It can hang around in shallow water, but it can also go to depths of 1500 meters or more. However, if you're lucky and have insane eyes, unlike me, you might just see one chilling in a tide pool, but if not, it might be chilling in a safe rocky den in the water. The giant Pacific octopus is a master of stealth, able to eat many types of seafood, most often being crustaceans like crabs, clams, and other mollusks.
But isn't that cannibalism?
It's not cannibalism just because octopuses are mollusks too. Mollusks belong to phylum Mollusca, near the top of the taxonomic hierarchy and thus being a super broad level of classification including every level below. If this were cannibalism, then us eating fish or cows would be cannibalism too, since we all belong to phylum Chordata.
Oh, that makes sense.
To hunt down its prey, the giant Pacific octopus surprises it with its camouflage, jet propulsion, and 8-arm grip. Once caught, it's game over. Kiss your crustacean dreams goodbye. The only dream you could have now is being octopus food in its den. In the den, there are 3 techniques an octopus might use to break into hard-shelled prey. 1, it can pull its prey apart. 2, it can bite it open with its beak. And 3, it can drill through the shell, scraping a hole into its shell and secreting a toxin inside to paralyze and dissolve its connective tissue. Now the octopus can pull or bite it open. After finishing its meal, the octopus will toss the shell into its pile of trash, called a midden, which is right outside its den. Scientists actually study these middens to learn about their diets. Quite literally, one man's trash is another man's treasure. The giant Pacific octopus lives alone for pretty much its entire life, surprisingly only being around 3 to 5 years. However, it essentially saves up all of its energy for just one chance at mating near the end of its lifespan. First, the female would choose a male, usually one a lot bigger than itself, then head to a den in deeper waters together at over 50 meters deep. Is that like the hideaway in Love Island? Dude, what am I talking about? Sorry, I only get Love Island updates from my girlfriend. If you actually watch the show, hopefully it's close enough of a comparison. If not, I'm double sorry. After mating, the female will come back to shallower waters to brood her eggs. And after at least a month after mating, she'll lay between an average of 18,000 to 74,000 eggs, each the size of a rice grain, hanging them as hundreds of strands of 250 eggs each from her den's roof. These were in the photo of the den I showed earlier. And because she lays her eggs outside of her body, this makes the giant Pacific octopus's form of reproduction oviparous. For up to 6 months, the mother will live in her den while her eggs develop, fanning them with her arms or contracting her body to shoot streams of oxygen and nutrient-rich water over them. During this time, the female won't eat, and in the end, she'll die soon after the eggs hatch. After hatching, the baby giant Pacific octopus is not yet a giant, quite the opposite actually. It's only just a bit over a quarter inch long and only weighs about 22 milligrams, or for my majority American viewers, it's less than 1,000th of an ounce. And on just day 1, each of its tiny little arms already have about 14 suckers. Day 1 living as a giant Pacific octopus. My mom died. But on the bright side, guess who's got 15 suckers on each arm? For its first few months of life, the baby octopus drifts in the surface waters, eating plankton for up to 3 months, then settling to the seafloor, now weighing around 5 grams. After a year, it'll weigh around 2 pounds, and by its second year, it can be 20 pounds and ready to mate. The males can mate with multiple females, but the females can only mate with one male. Ugh, the patriarchy, am I right? And periods? Ugh, don't even get me started on those. I hate periods.
Wow, you're so brave.
The giant Pacific octopus will keep on growing though, often up to 50 pounds or more, but until it reaches at least 10 pounds, its life is super dangerous and filled with a bunch of predators. According to the IUCN Red List, the giant Pacific octopus is classified as a least concerned species.
Yeah, woohoo, hooray, yeah!
Despite having a pretty short lifespan, because it lays so many eggs, its population has stayed strong. And even though it's a popular food in Asian and Mediterranean cuisine, it's still not as heavily fished as other types of seafood. As such, their populations are doing pretty good. Fortunately, there don't seem to be many significant threats to the giant Pacific octopus, though they are sensitive to pollutants in the water. They are often caught as bycatch in cod, crab, and prawn fishing however. In fact, in Alaska, about 35,000 pounds of a giant Pacific octopus are caught as bycatch every year. It's also a very smart animal. Scientists in the past had thought animals were less likely to evolve intelligence unless they were social, but these lonely octopuses have been able to learn how to open jars, solve puzzles, and interact with their caretakers. It isn't much of a danger to us though, despite their intelligence and massive size, especially since it usually avoids divers. But of course, if you see one in the water, keep your distance and never approach it. But anyway, that's about it for today's lesson. Subscribe for more fish facts, and I'll see you next time.